Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another installment of Manly Battleship's video podcast, Last Week in Geek. I'm Mr. Panda.
And I'm Rockstar.
Catching you up on all the important things that happened last week in the world of fandom, geekdom, and more. In completely unrelated channel news, you'll be pleased to know that we got our first video to hit 1,000 views. It's something we posted back in June, but heck, better late than never. Thanks.
Thanks. Now Halloween may be over, but I know that you crave those spooks. And nobody craves spooks more, I think, than people who watch The Grudge. The Grudge remake, what?
Nobody else craves the spooks.
Nobody else craves the spooks more than people who are into J-horror. So if you're looking for more of that wet, hairy...
What are you describing again?
If you're looking for more of that wet, hairy, vengeful ghost action, The Grudge remake has you covered. If you're wondering how Netflix was going to adapt The Witcher, wonder no more. We've got our full-length trailer that just dropped, and it actually looks pretty damn good.
Surprisingly, Henry Cavill doesn't sound awful when he talks.
We've got interesting news when it comes to the realm of Game of Thrones. It seems when one door closes, another one opens. Untitled Game of Thrones project has been canceled. That one was with Naomi Watts. And yet, we're getting a Game of Thrones prequel from HBO Max based off of the Targaryens. Yay!
The fall of Valyria, the pseudo-Roman Empire with dragons and stuff.
I mean, it's supposed to be called House of Dragons. George R.R. Martin has commented stating that he's not going to take on any scripts for House of Dragons before he finishes that final Game of Thrones novel.
So expect the new show in 2035.
And if you felt like you did too much waiting for more dragons in Game of Thrones, don't worry, the Dragon Prince Season 3 has your fix, with their bootleg version of the Battle of the Five Armies already included.
That frame rate, though, man. It's just gorgeous.
They changed the animation style.
Oh, did they?
Now it only looks like really bad frame rates every other scene or so.
If BoJack hasn't hit you in the adult feels yet, and if it hasn't, you are heartless, don't worry. Another beloved show is coming to a close with a final adventure, if you will. A Digimon final adventure. Digimon! Digital Monsters! Digimon are the champions! The trailer for Digimon Last Adventure has dropped, and you can check that out in the link below. No word yet on the conclusion of Pokemon. On the off chance that you don't want to be depressed this holiday season, however, you can also check out Aggretsuko in a new mobile game. If you download Mobile SQ, you get to do this interactive choose-your-own-adventure stuff where you can text Aggretsuko and her friends. By the way, hashtag no spawn. We're not getting paid for this. More's the pity! Not too long ago, we showed you a teaser of the new Green Eggs and Ham series that Netflix is doing, with a bunch of actors reading excerpts from the book. Now we have a trailer that shows us a little bit more about what they're doing, and I guess it's a road trip. The whole time, they're trying to convince the one guy to eat green eggs and ham.
Guy. His name is literally Guy. Guy, voiced by Michael Douglas.
How original.
Sam is trying to get Guy to eat green eggs and ham the entire road trip.
National Lampoon's Green Eggs and Ham Vacation. And we have shown you pictures. We have shown you ideas and concepts and teasers for this. We finally have a definitive idea of what to expect with the newest Marvel's Avengers video game coming out. Hooray!
Seems like they're taking the concepts of Incredibles and making superheroes illegal. And Kamala Khan, being the star of the show, it seems, is going to bring together the Avengers once more to save the world. BlizzCon just happened. Let's jump into it. Of course, as you know, people gathered around in Anaheim with major protests the entire BlizzCon, standing outside, screaming about Hong Kong protests, and some of them were even there just because they dislike Blizzard. Blizzard started BlizzCon off swinging. Not shying away, or were they, from the issue with their apology. The president of Blizzard, J. Allen Brack, didn't really say what Blizzard was apologizing for, just that they rushed into things.
We're very sorry. I'm sorry that you had to feel this way. Yes, goodbye.
Vaguely sorry about antics that had happened without mentioning what those antics were at all. But of course, this was part of their tactic as they spent the rest of BlizzCon showing things that they knew fans would easily forget their most recent controversies with. Like Diablo 4. Did you know we got like a 10-minute trailer just on gameplay cinematics? Diablo 4. You've got even stuff from Diablo Immortal. It seems that one's blown over. Overwatch 2. More expansions for both WoW and Hearthstone. I mean, what wasn't said to try to distract everybody from what Blizzard has with China? Specifically, there were some clarifications. For instance, Blitzchung and the casters are still suspended. They're not coming back. Great move, Blizzard. Thanks for showing us you're truly sorry about what's happening.
I'm confused about what... Usually when you apologize for something, unless you're doing a customer service move, you retract something.
This is the customer service move.
Okay.
This is the power play from Blizzard. The very strange Chinese Twitter post from Blizzard...
The aura of China.
...was basically disowned by the president himself, stating that it was in fact NetEase who wrote that little piece. They did not agree to it. It just kind of showed up on their Twitter one day. Which makes me wonder how much of China actually wrote that non-apology apology at BlizzCon. Blizzard president also took time to clarify a few things when it came to what kind of content was allowed on the streams. The current rule for official streams is that there is to be no political talk at all. Free speech! Yay!
I've been meaning to go back through and see if there's any evidence that the so-called whatever message would totally be banned. Because I don't know if that's true.
It's not true.
I mean, it might very well be true now, but I'm certainly not sure that it would have been true 6 months ago. Damage control, damage control, damage control. It's not just Blizzard, guys. There's another trash company trying to make its way back into our hearts. That's not Bethesda. It's EA! Yay! Surprise of the week. EA is working on a partnership with Valve to allow people on Steam to buy its past titles. You're still going to need an Origin account, but you will be able to buy and own a lot of their past titles, and this might also offer opportunities to obtain DLC at a sale price.
We'll see about that, because you also need Origins not just to own the actual digital copy on Steam, but to purchase them on Steam as well. Still going through you somehow, EA. Here's hoping for good, but it's EA, so prepare for the worst.
Oh, I think that it's not the worst. EA has managed to establish that it is not the worst. They're only pretty bad.
You know, if they would have made their comments now about how they don't see themselves as the bad guy, I might have actually let them off. You're not off the hook here yet, Bethesda. We're gonna go through all the trash companies in this particular Last Week in Geek. This time, the news story pertains to Bethesda in the land down under. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission ruled that anyone who had to buy the buggy mess that is known as Fallout 76 between November of last year and June of this year is entitled to a refund because Bethesda never fixed it. So,
Consumer protections for video games. Maybe I should move to Australia.
if you take advantage of the refund, just know that you will lose access to the game, but I urge you to use that new free data space to actually put in a game that actually has a storyline and NPCs and isn't a buggy mess.
But don't let all this news about bad companies get you down, gamers. There is still hope for our art. Shigeru Miyamoto, video game designer, the first of his class, has been awarded a Person of Cultural Merit in Japan. No video game designer has ever been given this honor before. It's an exciting time.
And it is the highest honor a Japanese citizen can actually achieve. And
Since World War II.
it's not all good news coming out of Japan, because tourists have been coming to the historical parts of Kyoto, outright refusing to read signs and brochures telling them what is appropriate behavior or not. The UNESCO World Heritage Sites had to actually ban all photography in most areas of historic Kyoto. This is why we can't have nice things.
Thanks, Logan Paul.
I'm not gonna rest it all on Logan Paul.
Thanks, Obama.
But thanks, rude tourists. the rest of us can't enjoy the fun now.
By the way, that Scorsese versus Marvel thing is still ongoing, but we have another very similar feud brooding in the anime world now. This one comes from Yoshiyuki Tomino, the creator of Gundam. He thinks that movies put out by Makoto Shinkai, such as Your Name, are lacking in something. Something very important. Something that represents the maturity of filmmaking.
I'm coming, Zamo! Quick, grab my balls!
They need more sex.
This is a feud only the anime culture could love.
And I mean, like, part of it makes me, like, I completely get what he's talking about. Because a lot of the movies kind of skirt that issue. TV series, well, other than the certain kind that we're not going to talk about. A lot of the drama shows don't progress to a point where they start talking about mature relationships like that. And it's mostly cultural, was what I've gathered. You see sex represented occasionally, but frequently not in, it's like, oh, these two people are getting together and they like each other so much. Logical progression is...
Oh, 本当はマイさんと手をつなぎたいだけです。
Well, let me tell you my favorite comment that he made. Specifically, he said Shinkai had a lot of women holding their hands out towards men, but not enough women holding their hands out to their crotch. That is a direct quote from his comments. Now, he also did say that Shinkai is a young director, and therefore, at some point, he will mature along with his film.
Virgin! That's my interpretation. That's my translation of the Japanese original.
Well, we'll have to see if this feud breaks out into something a little bit more major, like the Martin and Scorsese.
Oh, let's hope not.
Speaking about said feud between Marvel and Scorsese, yes. We're still reporting on it. And this time...
It's been like 4 weeks!
Man, I would stop reporting on it if people would stop making a big deal out of it. This time, it was Steven Spielberg that had to put his voice into the mix. And this time, he stuck up for Marvel, stating that some of his favorite movies, basically, it was a bunch of his favorite movies, and basically stated that he likes movies that don't really take themselves seriously. For instance, Guardians of the Galaxy. He found a new way of looking at cinema based off of just that movie. And therefore, while he mostly likes movies about the everyday common hero that has no superpowers, he can see the merit in superhero people. Scorsese finally has joined back into the fray, this time kind of soft-pedaling his previous comments and adding what he felt was more context. These movies are cinema. I'm not going to deny that they're not. It's just that he feels that we shouldn't turn cinemas into a theme park ride every single time. We should allow cinema to have multiple stories as well as the stories of the little guy.
It's kind of what we offered as a mitigating analysis the first time we talked about this. Yeah, I got what you were saying. You're saying that you don't want all these other movies to get crowded out by the blitzy lights, but Francis Ford Coppola is kind of a jerk.
I still argue that Taika Waititi had to do Thor Ragnarok and able to have the money to go enable himself to do something like Jojo Rabbit. What if that flopped? There are a lot of times where small movies like that don't really make a lot of money, but it seems like Jojo's a rising star. But he can now afford to take the risk because he did something which was a theme park ride. Theme park rides help little guys all the time.
They make money.
And then when you have breakthrough movies, like say The Lion King, where they used VR for in-camera stuff, that stuff gets pushed down to little itty-bitty foreign films or regular films, art house films that do something amazingly creative with it.
You're saying I have to suffer through The Lion King to get good movies.
Yes. That technology will eventually be used in something that you will be awed and amazed at, which was not The Lion King.
To close things out this week, we're going to be talking very briefly about NBC's streaming service, Peacock. It's really hard to keep up with all the pricing systems that are going to be coming out with this new streaming bubble. I'm just going to call it now. It's a streaming bubble.
It is.
But it seems like NBC Universal does want to try something that someone else has already tried to try to get a little bit of a competitive edge. They're going to offer an ad-supported free tier.
That's the thing now. Are people going to want to watch yet another one that was ad-supported and actually suffer through the ads to be able to watch something for free? Or is this going to get left on the chopping room floor? Because this is only reportedly. They haven't actually stated that this is official and it's actually coming to light. So they may also just want to cancel that altogether.
This might be geared towards older people who are already used to watching commercials on television. I don't know. And that about wraps it up here at Last Week in Geek, so please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also click that little follow bell. Yeah, that one. Down there. Yeah, it's dirty. Press it. And without further ado, we're done here. So we'll see you next week.
Goodbye!